When you look at the strides you made on the court this season, Defensive Player of the Year, All Star, your offensive game really coming together, but then you look at the kind of impact Anthony Davis made in this playoff series. What do you get out of that in terms of where you think you need to get better to keep moving forward?
You gotta have growth. You gotta really just look in the mirror and figure out how you can make more of an impact, like being a two-way player, offensively and defensively, and just being a force more.
uh, Last year you talked about having a huge book of stuff to work on in the summer. This year you don't have a foot fracture. So, what are you most looking forward to working on game wise?
Things that will, be specific to how I can be better for this team. Not working on a bunch of stuff and half of it I end up using, but really just working on stuff that I'm going to use. Growing upon like getting more spots that I just love on the court, as well as working on the ones that I already have and making those undefined or unbeatable at times. Just working on shots that I can always use. Working on explosion, strength, just a new gear of mentality, a new level. So that when I come into next year, it's just fast paced, right into the flow state.
Jaren, two-part question. First part is, I remember last year you talked about Taylor Jenkins giving you a long list of things to work on going into the offseason. Is that list as long this year?
Yeah, probably longer. Just with more responsibility.
And then the second part is, I think I talked to Taylor about you and Ja in the pick and roll. We're seeing, more of that lately, but we see a lot of the, with the Lakers, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Davis did a lot of that too. What do you think, has to happen in order for you to kind of become that sort of elite pick and roll tandem where you can kind of dominate games?
Probably differentiate how we attack it, give more variety. They're guarding us certain ways and just be able to counter it, so they have to change the way they guard us rather than just doing the same thing every time. I think we just explore different options.
Jaren, so both Taylor and Zach had mentioned how they've had conversations with you and Ja and Dez on, just being the leaders for this team, both in conversations just with you five, but also in front of the team. Just for one, what does that responsibility, take with your approach this offseason? But also, too, what did you learn about yourself as a leader through all the adversity and storms that y'all went through this year?
Yeah, we got to hone in on it. That comes from showing the new guys, the new rooks that come on the team, just what we're all about and how we work, and getting on the same page between us and really knowing what each other wants, just even more. Every time you can really spend time with your teammates, you should, just to get that chemistry, because it's gonna pay off down the road. And this year we had our moments for sure where we could do a lot of stuff better. That's the case with every team in America. So I think just being able to have good self-reflection and make something out of what happened, is if we want to make sure it's worth it. We want to make sure everything we go through is worth everything we've gone through. Yeah, we'll come back stronger for sure.
Mike Wallace.
Jaren, as you get into the summer, and I know it's probably tough to process right now, but balancing the breakthrough best year that you've had, decent defensive player of the year, all-star, approaching all NBA, versus the result of not necessarily getting the team as far as you guys wanted to get. How do you sort of balance that out and set the agenda for next season as you get into the offseason?
Digest it and just own it. Don't run from it. And own everything. Take the positives from the year, rock with the regular season, and then understand what happened in the postseason can't happen anymore, and really just make that a staple and make something of it.
Along those lines, a little bit, Taylor and Zach were in here saying they want, next year they want to take a different approach. I think Taylor said instead of talk the talk, like walk the walk and walk the walk. No, it was a little awkward. Yeah, it was a little awkward. But
Taylor.
what in your mind? I mean, do you, obviously not necessarily do you agree with that, but what does that look like in your mind? Did you think that was, it got to be a little too much this season? Kind of the and maybe I guess the bravado you guys had, and how do you see this kind of transforming over this offseason and into next year in terms of how you guys approach things?
It just depends on who you are, how you view it, for real. Anything's bad if you let it affect what you do in the game. So if it kind of makes you deviate or pulls focus, then it just becomes a little too much. But at the same time, we're never gonna change. We should never change. And that same swag you should always have. You should always back yourself and back your teammates. You should always just, carry that with you. And yeah, you should never.
What gives you faith that you, Ja, and Dez are a championship core and that you can be a championship core in the end?
Versatility and our mentality and our skills, I think, just set us apart. I think where everyone lacks, we pick it up, and someone else, when someone else has something that they're just not as good at, someone else has something else that to match that. And when we're all playing well, when we're all firing, it's tough. So, and we've seen it work. When it works, it works. It's not something that you just look past, dedicate yourself to making sure it's worth it. Special because it doesn't come around often.